Hello, saber people. Another commission build complete, which means another breakdown video for you. Try and keep this one nice and simple today. This is, I'm going to get this speck of dust off of it. This is Naomi's Heart of Siberia by Denis Lukyanov. This is a amazing saber. I love this design. I wanted to have one of these in my hands for a long time, and Naomi was kind enough to let me install this one for her. So here we are. It's a fantastic saber. Really love it. Lots of really nice design features. Comes apart really nicely. It's great. Really great hilt. So a couple of things we had to overcome on this one. The weathering that had been done to it had locked in place some of these little kind of accent pieces that hold the wire on, and in order to take the hilt apart properly, you need to fully remove this accent piece up here, and it had basically been welded in place by maybe rust, maybe some sort of chemical weathering, I'm not entirely sure. So getting that out was a nightmare. Got there eventually. The switch holder that had been designed for this didn't quite fit, so I had to redesign that, but that's fine. Just use the same measurements and shrunk a couple of the dimensions, that's okay. And also had to drill and tap a retention screw for the chassis underneath this kind of silver collar section. And apart from that, I think that was pretty much everything. It was also kind of a snug fit down inside the chassis in the lower section, but I'll talk about that when we get down there. But apart from that, everything else is pretty standard. So running through the components, it's a Shtok V3 Neopixel emitter up top. I really love this blade plug as well. A real quartz crystal that's been shaved down and filed to fit into this crystal chamber with a Neopixel accent underneath it. 2 tactile dome switches that come with the kit. They're great, very clicky. And then a Tierfon orbital chassis underneath. Let's show that off quickly. The wire in the middle has been snipped just here, so you can pull it out at this section in the accent. It is a bit snug. There we go. Pull that piece out, and then you can unscrew the lower section of the chassis. Slide that down. And this is the Tierfon chassis, so really nice, easy to install. I had to widen up some of the wire passages a little bit to get things to fit a little nicer, but apart from that, everything fit really well. Like I said, there was a little bit of trouble down at the speaker section getting everything to fit down there, because I like to join my wires in kind of clusters. So the positive terminal, which led a wire down here, there were a couple of positives going down there, and I didn't realize I wouldn't really have room to do it underneath this whopping great 28mm speaker. But we got there in the end, managed to get everything to fit. But it is snug. Proffie 3.9 here, the spring-loaded battery terminals, a Smuggler's Outpost 28mm dark side speaker, and this Neopixel accent strip that runs around the middle. As an installer, I will be much happier when we move away from these tiny little accent strips, because they advertise themselves as flexible, but as soon as you bend it ever so slightly too far in one direction, it breaks, the contacts break, and the data line is broken, and then it doesn't work and you can't fix it. So I got through a couple of these trying to get the angle of the bend just right so that it would wrap around and fit but not break. If anyone has any more durable solutions out there, please let me know. Oh, hi. I'm joined by a cat today. Excuse me, kind of busy. Apart from that, relatively simple install. Everything went together really nicely. The retention screw that I tapped underneath this collar here ended up not being needed, because this chassis was quite a snug fit. It's got quite a long kind of thin neck that goes up inside the hilt. And with a little bit of epoxy, that holds really well, so I'm not too worried about this coming out anytime soon. Everything is locked down really nice and tight. It's a really kind of durable, solid saber. Obviously, I'd never recommend dueling with a Neopixel saber anyway, but this one is pretty chunky. So let's pop a battery in. This is a standard 18650 battery. The spring side down the bottom is your negative, so that's the flat side of the battery. This battery chamber is quite a snug fit. Getting them batteries in and out can be a little bit tricky, but just make sure you apply pressure in the right place. So use your finger on that side of the chassis to brace it, and then just push the battery up into the chamber like that. And then you flip the kill switch down here. Let's talk fonts. So there are 43 fonts on this. The majority of them have custom blade styles. The accent lighting, I tried to keep it as different as I could between every single font, but obviously with 43 of them to go through, that's quite a task. So the accent lighting, some of the patterns are going to be the same on some of the fonts, but the colors do match everything. Everything has a custom color. So the color of the blade will be represented in the color of the crystal and the color of the accent lighting. There's a whole bunch of fonts on here. It's a mixture of kyberphonic and grayscale fonts, and then some freebies as well. But this thing is fully loaded. There's loads of stuff on here. All the kyberphonic, well, most of the kyberphonic fonts have tracks with them, which will work with the track player. But a lot of the other fonts don't have any tracks with them because they just didn't come with it. Gesture controls. It's really loud, really beefy. Really gorgeous saber with the window to reveal the crystal. You can see it through the back. Maybe that is a long out sound. Okay, let's get this lower section back on. Slide this over the bottom. Oh, my battery is not in flat. This is what I mean about the battery being snug, because it has to be flat to the chassis. There we go. Twist, 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 twist. It's not too snug, it's just like reasonable. Then you can tuck the wire back in there, but I'm not going to bother for this one. You can see the accent lighting shining through this lower section, which is really nice. There's a bit of diffusion tape over the accent lighting, just so it's not like the raw LEDs shining through. Let's now chuck a blade in. So this is a completely toolless saber, which I love. You don't need an Allen key for it or anything. There's just this thumb screw up the top to loosen the blade retention. Blade plug slides out. It's a 1-inch blade. So when you put the blade in, just go all the way down until you can feel the springy pins kind of push up against the blade. Hold it down and then just tighten the retention screw like that, and then you're away. So let's go find a fun font. Fun one. Really loud. Crystal flashes when the blasters deflect as well. Some fonts do that as well with the lower accent piece. But apart from that, you've got all the usual proffie features, smooth swing, flash on clash, blaster deflects, everything like that. Really solid. I'm not going to go through all the fonts, so we'll just find a more basic one just so we can see some of the other options. There we go. So these are the Kyberphonic Workshop ones. They're just freebies, but they're really nice, solid fonts. There you go. More traditional lightsaber sounds and behaviors as well. I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say about this one. It was a relatively simple install, like I said. There was some fiddly stuff to do inside the chassis, but it came together really well. I will say the chassis is, instead of resin printed, we did a nylon print. I prefer nylon over resin because resin can sometimes be quite brittle. But with nylon, you get a lot of extra strength. So you do lose a little bit of the detail in like the greebly panel on the side, but I did hit the chassis with some rub and buff and then varnish it to try and kind of keep the details on the high spots, and it's turned out pretty nicely. You can still see all the detail that you would want to be able to see. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If anything stands out to you, Naomi, give me a shout and I'll get it changed before shipping this guy out to you. Otherwise, thank you for commissioning me. I hope you're happy with the end result. It's a really nice saber, really fun to put together. A nice easy install as well. There's some little tricky bits to do with wire management, and there's a bit of a getting the crystal chamber back together is a kind of a pain because it comes apart into loads of so many different individual pieces. But once you get that done, it's not really that bad. It's a really nice saber. Yeah, if you're happy with it, let me know and I'll get this shipped out to you hopefully today. If not, we can make any changes and I'll get that shipped out as soon as possible. But thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next one. May the force be with you, and take care. Bye.